So I had the absolute privilege of spending an hour with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, with massive thanks going out to Square Enix, who invited me to come over to MCM Comic-con to play the game and get some capture. So all of the footage that you'll be seeing in today's video is going to be my gameplay of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is super exciting.
How does materia let you cast spells exactly?
Now, I will say here that a lot of the footage that you see in this video, while it did come from me playing the game, is stuff that you will have seen from other media outlets and other influencers as well. And yeah, maybe I am a little late to the party with that stuff, but even so, I wanted to put my 2 cents in with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, especially having played Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, which I know that there are people out there that are really enjoying it, but for me... So believe me when I say my relief when playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, to be honest with you, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is very much more Final Fantasy VII Remake, which, great, like Final Fantasy VII Remake was fantastic and I really loved it. And the bits that I got to play were in 2 different parts. So I got to play the flashback, which those of you who played the original Final Fantasy VII came in the town of Calm, where you play as Cloud and Sephiroth. So I got to play some playtime with Sephiroth, which is always a good time. And then in the second part of the demo that I got to play, I played outside of Junon, which was a more open worldy section than we're used to from Final Fantasy VII Remake, and was actually quite a welcome change of pace and something new for Rebirth, culminating in a boss fight that those of you who have played the original will remember as the boss fight under Junon, though there were some subtle changes here for Rebirth that I actually thought were really well implemented. So we'll start with the first section, which was the flashback scene. So Cloud and Sephiroth getting to play as Sephiroth in this flashback, and I really enjoyed a lot of the subtle hints that there were in this portion of the game to parallels with the original Final Fantasy VII. So those of you who have played the original and see the footage that you see from this particular video, you'll notice that Cloud behaves a little differently in this flashback. Yeah, maybe it's just that he was a bit more green back then and had a little bit more of a sparkle in his eye than him being as jaded as he is in the modern day. But those of you who've played FF7 know that's not entirely the case, and those of you who've played FF7 Remake know that maybe things will be a little different to how they play out in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I'm really excited to see where they go with this particular section of the game. This all sort of culminated in a boss fight with the Materia Keeper, which was a boss fight within Final Fantasy VII, but they've obviously moved it into being a boss fight for Cloud and Sephiroth. Game looks stunning. Like, it looks stunning. It's more Final Fantasy VII Remake, but with a little extra zhuzh added to it to make it so that it felt like it belonged on the PS5. I played through the whole game in performance mode because I will always pick performance mode whenever I'm playing a PS5 game, and the option between graphics mode and performance mode is available. Is yes, higher resolution and ray tracing is nice. I'll take my 60 frames per second, thank you very much. But it ran beautifully. It was like, if I had any criticism, but bear in mind obviously this is an early build of the game, so it may change over the course of time, was the camera felt a little bit wonky at times, but when there's so much going on, I can kind of understand that. But honestly, I was very here for it. I was really enjoying it. There's not much to say about the gameplay outside of, if you've played FF7 Remake, you're going to like what you see here in Rebirth, because it's more of the same, which is very much a good thing. The menuing did feel like a little different, which I quite liked. Like, I like the presentation of the menuing in this one, because it does feel distinct from Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I very much enjoy, particularly for people who may not have played Remake. I'll be interested to see, like, in the full game when it releases, how well Rebirth does without having played Remake, because obviously when a new game comes out, you want to be able to recommend it to new players, and I'll be curious to see how necessary playing Remake will be to playing Rebirth. The one thing I did find that was new with the gameplay was the synergy attacks. I actually really liked the way these were done. So the synergy attacks were a button combination that you press that kind of do pairing attacks. So if you've played like Chrono Trigger or Sea of Stars or anything like that, you get synergistic attacks between multiple party members, and I got to explore this within the Cloud and Sephiroth section, but even more so in the second section. But Cloud and Sephiroth having one that you can just kind of mash, and then having almost like a limit break style one, which was called Double Helix in this particular fight, was really cool. and then the synergy attacks fill up your limit gauge, which makes you more likely to be able to do limit gauge. And I got to finish the Materia Keeper with Octaslash, which was really cool. And it all just felt correct. Like, that's all I can really say for that first section without going into story or anything like that. I just thought it felt correct. The second section of the game, I got to, as I say, play a more open world section, which we'd not really seen in Rebirth or Remake before now. And you got to sort of swap out your party members quite easily. Like, you had three, in this demo version, you had three separate parties that you could switch between, and it was very easy to switch between them as well. It was literally a case of pressing X and then L2 and R2 to swap between the different parties. But the most important thing I found here was the ability to play as Red 13, which was not a thing in Final Fantasy VII Remake. He was more like a guest character, and I believe that we've been told that certain other characters in the party will kind of reprise that sort of a role in Rebirth, and then I would imagine become fully playable in the third part of the FF7 Remake saga. But here we get to play as Red 13, and I played as Sephiroth in the first part, I played as Red 13 in the second, pretty much the entire way through, and I loved it. Like, they controlled fantastically, sort of, you know, Red 13 felt quick and nimble, which is what he's supposed to do. If you hold the square button, he does kind of like a wheel attack that felt really satisfying to use. His kind of menu attacks like Sidewinder and Stardust Ray all felt good to use. I just really enjoyed playing as Red 13, and again, in this part I got to explore the synergy attacks a lot more, and like I played around with synergy between like Cloud and Red 13 and Barret, Cloud and Barret. Then I brought Aerith in. I didn't play around with Tifa very much because I only had a limited amount of time with the game. I still got time to kind of explore the synergy attacks between quite a few of the characters. I particularly enjoyed Cloud and Aerith's synergy attack. It just looked really cool. It was very pretty, and it did the job I wanted it to do. And quite honestly, maybe it's basic of me, but the more flashy and cool the attacks are in a game like this, the more likely I am to engage with it, because we all like pretty things at the end of the day. So this may come across as a bit of a spoiler, I guess, for the demo, so if you don't want to hear this, then perhaps turn away now. But at the end of the demo, I saw Yuffie, which was quite cool, and the way they kind of snuck Yuffie into the story was really well done. So if you've played the original Final Fantasy VII, Yuffie appears in various forests, and she's kind of like a secret character, but in this version, she appears in place of the little girl Priscilla in the boss fight with the Terror of the Deep under Junon. So that kind of plays out a little differently in this version, but it felt natural. Like it was kind of like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, do you know what? Yeah, that makes sense for her to appear there. I quite like that. It worked for me. I didn't get to play as her, sadly, because the demo ended after that particular boss fight, which again, I got to explore lots of different mechanics. You get trapped in bubbles, which you then have to attack with your party members with magic in order to free those party members, and then you'd swap between your party members because some of them got trapped. Much like FF7 Remake, the boss fights have multiple phases, and the transitions between phases, including like the music, the visuals, everything, just was seamless. And I'll never, like, honestly, I think that FF7 Remakes as a saga has some of the best designed boss fights that I've ever seen, and that looks like it's very much going to be the case with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as well. And then I got to finish that boss fight with Cross Slash, which made me very, very happy. And then that was pretty much what I got to play, and the open world section had like little extra missions in it. So if as you came across them, you'd see little missions that had score attacks, and you could retry them if you wanted to. The chocobos that you got to ride on would be able to sniff out treasure, and there was a little chocobo chick which was adorable, and you could pat him on the head. So for people who are like that kind of thing, that's all been detailed and thought of as well, that you can kind of follow around, and like it helps you find treasure and rest stops and things like that. It just all worked. It just felt like FF7 Remake 2, which is literally what it is, and pretty much all I really wanted from FF7 Rebirth, and it delivered it in droves. As for the event itself, obviously I was invited to go up to Comic-Con for it. my god, Comic-Con got busy. Like, I haven't been to MCM Comic-Con in London for quite a few years now, but I miss kind of the cosplay aspects of it. I used to cosplay a lot, and I don't so much nowadays. But going around it and you seeing quite how many people there are. Bear in mind, I was in the XL Centre this time last week for 14 Fan Fest, and then I'm back there again for more Final Fantasy shenanigans. I'm like, honestly, I'm so blessed and humbled by like the Final Fantasy fan base, Square Enix, all of these people that just like really look after me in this community, and I'm really grateful for it. So thank you very, very much. But yeah, it was wild to just kind of see so much going on and so many people. I actually spent some time with a friend of mine who is an artist who was working at Artist Alley, because I know after my last video I got a lot of encouragement regarding my artwork and what I plan to do with that artwork going forward. So trust me when I say it's something that I'm looking into right now. I've never done my artwork on a commercial basis of any kind, so I'm very grateful to Snacky Boy for teaching me some stuff with that. And if anyone else knows anything about it, I will happily take any advice that people have got, because I don't have a clue. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you're most excited for when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Trust me when I say it is the Final Fantasy VII experience that I've been hoping for since Final Fantasy VII Remake, and not the one that I was getting from Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. So I'm excited for Rebirth, for sure. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below about Rebirth and all of the other games in the Final Fantasy VII universe. Where do you think it's going to go from here? How much different is it going to be? Are you just going to go back to the original again? There's so many questions when it comes to Final Fantasy VII that I'd love to hear your answers for all of it. And of course, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications on any future videos I might be taking. If you're interested in supporting the channel further, as you can see from all the lovely names that you can see on the screen here, you can join up on my Patreon page, which is linked down below as well, where you can get title cards made for yourself amongst a plethora of other benefits. And I do just want to say a massive thank you to everybody for my last video. Like, that was kind of crazy. And by kind of crazy, I mean a lot crazy. And I'm just very, very grateful for all of the wonderful messages that I received, and all of the, like, I was very humbled by it all, and it definitely made me want to kind of like really push myself in this direction again. So I will be posting my new stream schedule and my new content plan over on the community page on my Twitter. You can feel free to come and follow me on all of my socials, including Twitch, because I am going to be on there 4 days a week again. So thank you all very much for watching, and I look forward to playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with you all. Have a great day, everyone, and take care. Bye now.